Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason, though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. You always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Hi, Bullhorn Betty. Thank you for my shirt. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Kids Club.
Hey guys, Bullhorn Betty here. I hope you're having a wonderful day. We're discussing the case of Sebastian Rogers. He's a 15-year-old autistic boy when he disappeared on February 26, 2024, and he has not been seen by video. He hasn't been seen by a private citizen, and there has been no scent dogs to track his location, but we are told that he disappeared and last seen on February 26th. This child disappeared from inside an alleged locked home that has no signs of forced entry, and no signs of him leaving the home. This tale started on February 26 when a call came in to the Sumner County non-emergency dispatch line around 6:33 in the morning. It was learned that Sebastian Waindrake Rogers, an autistic and medically needy boy, seemingly walked out of his home and was never seen again. At least that's what we are led to believe. By February 27th in the afternoon, an Amber Alert was issued for Sebastian Waindrake Rogers, alleging that there's a possibility of an abduction of this boy to have taken place. None of us were really clear at the time why this Amber Alert had surfaced, since they kept expressing that there was no possibility that led them to believe he was abducted. We fast forward to March 4th. March 4th was a critical and pivotal moment in this case, and that's when law enforcement decided to scale back their search efforts. This would have been communicated with the parents on March 3rd or before. On March 3rd, that was the first interview the mom and stepdad provided on a Duchess panel. On March 4th, they did their first mainstream media interview with WSMV. And both of those interviews were a little odd. We were unaware what had really transpired, and we were hanging on every word the mom and stepfather said. But there were some things that just didn't seem right. One of those things is their over-explanation of how he was not in trouble, and how he had not been in trouble recently, and how he had a good day, and how they just are racking their brains and can't figure out why he would run away from home. Seth Rogers, the biological father of Sebastian Waindrake Rogers, went to media and started expressing some concerns with the statements or the story that his ex-wife was providing. He just felt like something was off. By March 18th, on the Smiley's World interview and the subsequent interviews after that, such as Nancy Grace, it was clear that there was a meltdown between the family dynamic between the mom and stepfather and with Seth Rogers, the biological father. It seemed like the family unit that Chris and Katie were trying to proclaim was so great at the time of the son's disappearance has now have many public fractures in that facade. We still have no clue where Sebastian Waindrake Rogers is, but what we do know is Seth has done everything we as the public expect. He's been out there looking for his son since day one. He's provided us his alibi and the supporting documents to prove his alibi, and furthermore has done a polygraph test on the Nancy Grace show, which was publicly released, identifying that Seth Rogers passed his polygraph test. So where do we go from here? The leads lead where they lead. Let's go through some of the information. We were told that this child had no history of running away from home, yet woke up in the middle of the night one day after having an amazing weekend and took off with not even his shoes on. We learned from law enforcement that there is no scent and no video of Sebastian on it, and there have been no eyewitnesses coming forward that have seen Sebastian since the infamous video at the Texas Roadhouse Grill. We were also made to believe that his life was a very normal life, and then we learned that this mom and stepfather, while trying to conceal the information, have been trying to rehome this child as early as October 2022, and since moving into their home on Stafford Court, have had 5 CPS reports called against them from third parties such as teachers. We were told from the beginning that all parents were cooperative. They've all taken a polygraph test. They are all cleared by law enforcement. However, we learned the only person that had taken a polygraph test was Katie Proudfoot. Chris and Seth had never taken a polygraph test, and again, for months, he proclaimed he had been cleared and passed his polygraph test. The mom and stepdad also stated on many interviews they were doing everything they can. They were searching, they were posting flyers, they were putting up signs. However, their neighbors and their community stated that that was also a lie. They had not seen them. And when they questioned them about it, they got into their camper and took off. The mom and stepdad were seen eating out during search efforts. We're seen motorcycle shopping during a vigil. And we learned that they went to a motorcycle rally while law enforcement was still searching for their son. For many of us, these are very disturbing and problematic behaviors and actions from the mom and stepdad, which is what raises red flags in our eyes and in our minds. Nothing has been stated to resolve that issue. And lastly, I also find it very concerning that Seth has provided his alibi with supporting documentation. Katie has provided her alibi, whether we believe it or not, she has provided it. The one person that has never provided us one scintilla of information related to his alibi or where he was during the time of Sebastian's disappearance is Christopher Proudfoot, the stepfather of Sebastian Wayne Rogers. And he still proclaims to this day that law enforcement has specifically told him and him alone not to reveal his timeline. Again, that's not something that is typical. Typically, the person that's the furthest away, their alibi has no relevance to the case. So since his has relevance to the case, wouldn't that conclude that he is an integral part of the Sebastian Rogers case? Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Bullhorn Betty channels on multiple platforms such as X, Instagram, Facebook, here on YouTube, and hopefully TikTok if it survives January 19th. I hope you all have an amazing day. God bless each and every one of you that's watching this video. What we do know as fact, however, is that Seth has been searching for his son ever since his son disappeared. Seth has publicly taken a polygraph. He has publicly produced his work records. This man has done everything he could possibly do, including working with the FBI, working with me to advocate for his son, calling on the national media, getting Nick the Hat and Dog the Bounty Hunter, and we're here with what from the mom and stepfather? Nothing for almost 10 months. Shoddy searches at best, working with an unscrupulous PI, felons, and including one searcher utilizing substances, illicit substances, while searching for their son. Well, good morning, my beautiful people of YouTube. It is hump day. What day is it? It's hump day. Good morning, everyone out there in YouTube world and in the ether. It's nice to see you this beautiful Wednesday morning. I hope everybody is doing well. I had an opportunity to say good morning to a few of you. Melanie, it's nice to see you. Kim, if you received your gifted Bullhorn Betty membership from Kim, please don't forget to tell her thank you and welcome to this crazy crew we call the Coffee Club. Dun, dun, dun. The Insane Asylum. It's nice to see you, Tina. Good morning. Our beautiful, the real Me Too is up in the house. River, it's nice to see you, my love. Basement Jesus, Crazy Cat Lady, thank you for being here. Who else do we got? It looked like you guys were having a nice little conversation over here. Can we eavesdrop? Rebecca, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning. Donna, it's nice to have you as well. Let me get Lady Dragon. It's nice to see you, Love Bug. I hope you guys are doing well. Michelle's up in the house this morning. Phil, Rita, good morning. Good morning. Sorry, I know you guys, because we were kind of not really doing a whole lot. You guys were just hanging out here, so you guys were communicating with yourself. And so I'm trying to get through all of this. Let me go down a little bit further. Conversation. I see Truth in Time. Sorta Morta. It's nice to see you. If I miss, I saw Lisa B. Always. Bobby, it's nice to see you. Gypsy, Melissa, One Sock. It's nice to see you. Danielle, Brenda, Elizabeth, Crystal, Pistol. I don't think that came out right. Crystal Pistol. Frank, it's nice to see you. Panda, Bear's mom, it's nice to see you. Robin, good morning. Salty Ma'am, Sam, I am. It's nice to see you. Valerie, good morning. We have another Michelle up in the house. It's nice to see you. Our beautiful unicorn, Indiana, hanging out with us. Girl Lee, girl stop. Nice to see you. We got Stephanie, Dispatch Crystal. It's nice to see you, Love Bug. Lisa C. Who else do we have? Niner Nana. It's good to see you. Shay. Oh, hey, Shay. It's nice to have you over here. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, look at that. Thank you so much, Robin. Good morning, beautiful Betty, Delilah, Mods, and Coffee Beans. Well, good morning to you, too. Good morning. Dreaming of blue skies and sandy beaches. Now I'm going to kind of scroll down closer to the bottom because I know we have a lot of people here. So I'm just going to go up just a little bit and read some. We got Sonia. Good morning, Love Bug. I hope you're doing, I don't even know, but I hope you're doing good. I hope you're doing good. Big hugs and kisses from me to you. Bong, it's nice to see you. Nani, Julie, good morning. Good morning. Lee, it's nice to see you. Mama Rissa, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Connie. Rod, it's nice to see you. Mama Bear. Oh, Shirley, it's nice to see you, Shirley. Me and you, good morning. Truths to Light. Love it. Love it. B. Betty fan. Peggy, Joni, it's nice to see you. It's your local Grace. Nice to see you as well. Laura. Tabitha, good morning. Michelle, Julie, it's nice to see you guys. If I missed anybody, just a big blanket, warm Bullhorn Betty. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys like that intro. It took me a couple hours this morning to put that together. I could have done better. I could have done recordings and stuff and a lot more overlays, but quite frankly, I think I did what I got the point across. I got the point across. On the language of letting go today, January 15th, is discipline yourself to let go. It may sound odd, but the way to give up being overly controlled is to become more disciplined about letting go. I was sitting at home worrying one day when a friend called. He asked how I was. I told him I was worried. Actually, I was crossing the line into obsessing about something that was going on in my life then. There's nothing you can do about it, he said. Just relax. It's out of your control. What my friend was really talking about was practicing the discipline of letting go. After I hung up the phone, I deliberately put my worries and obsessions aside. I surrendered to the way things were. I simply relaxed. It's like a miracle. I was able to move forward with my life. When we begin letting go, it seems almost impossible just to relax and let go. As with anything else, with practice and repetition, we will become more skilled. That doesn't mean won't need to remember to do it. It just means letting go will become easier in time. If you've become highly skilled at worrying, obsessing, or trying to control, deliberately practice relaxing and letting go until you're good at that too. God, help me make the discipline of relaxing and letting go a daily part of my life. Teach me to let go with poise, dignity, and ease. Sorry about that. On this side of the screen it is dark. On that side of the screen, it is bright. And so some of this, I can't, it's hard for me to see. I'm going blind, folks, okay? Newsflash. Going blind over here. I'm becoming an old lady. Shut up! All right, I will. All right, I will. All right, guys. So I promised you guys we were going to be going over the Nina interview this morning, and that's what we're going to do. Depending on time, we may split it up into 2 shows. I may do it now. We may take a several hour break and pick up on it later this afternoon. Now, before we get started, I don't know how many people were on Justin for All earlier this morning and migrated over here to talk about Sebastian Rogers. But, I just want to say that hearing some of the details that I heard this morning on his show really does bother me. It kind of shakes me to my core. Okay, let's get that out of there. Guys, if anybody's talking about personal issues in this chat, especially when it comes to my personal issues or my family or anything like that, please block them. I'm not playing these YouTube games anymore. These people are trash. They need to stay on their side of the tracks. And I'm sick of them being in our chat. They need attention. I don't give them attention. But Michael Monkey Vaughan, he was abducted. We knew he was abducted. I knew without a shadow of my being. I had always put Brandy on a pedestal because we were always comparing them to Summer Wells' parents and how they were reacting. But after time went on with no real information about what could have happened to Michael Monkey Vaughan, people started overanalyzing the mom and Michael's father's behavior a little too much. And, it started to break down the community a little bit. And so I decided because I had been putting her on a pedestal for so long, comparing them to the parents of Summer Wells, when these things started revealing themselves, I had to go out there and find out, what happened. And so I did, and I know for a fact, and I had known for a fact since the moment I got out to Fruitland, Idaho, that without a shadow of a doubt that his mother had nothing to do with this, that this child was truly abducted. I had no earthly idea who could have done it. We talked to a lot of people in that community, and some of those people have lived in that house their entire life and their entire children's lives. It was a very nice community, a very local community in a very small area, not really a high crime area, very family oriented. And when it was revealed that this child had been taken by the Wandras and their 2 friends, when you look in it, you were kind of hopeful because Sarah seemed to be really cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and finding out about Stacy's personal manhood problems. Many people try to fascinate or fantasize that this child was taken to become a child of theirs. And I always kind of resisted that because then what would be the purpose of hurting him? Because they were digging up the yard by the time we really found out who was doing it. But with the information of him going to a secondary house and being tied up, and knowing that Brandon as well as Adrian are predators, they have had some other charges related to that. I now have the missing piece to why he was taken. And I'm not going to say that, but that just breaks my heart. Hearing that this morning, just hearing that one critical piece of information, finally made the picture whole for me today. And it breaks my heart. It really just breaks my heart. So, whew. Anyways, on the flip side, we're going to get back to Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. Sebastian is a 15-year-old. He was 15 years old when he disappeared from his home. For those that don't, I'm going to try to remember to do my banners. I'm going to try to remember to do my banners. I am not good at banners. I'm not good at remembering to do stuff, right? I just know to talk, and I know what my topic of conversation is to commentate on or have a conversation about. Pushing buttons, I know I am a professional button pusher, but the one buttons I seem not to be able to remember to push are the ones on my own show. Yeah, I know. It's guys, it's hard because I got to tell you, I'm struggling not to cry. You know, I mean, he was such a beautiful boy. We knew that they had enough evidence to say he was no longer with us. So it's just, I don't know. I've got to process this so I can collect myself. I just found all of this out right before this show started. So as you can tell, it's highly upsetting for me because you're always hopeful that, you know, those brief thoughts aren't really what it is. And then when you found out how crazy this lady was, you kind of really hope that it was just a crazy fantasy of being a mom and, you know, she was going to take care of this child. And it's just, it's bothersome for me. So I'm going to collect myself. And once I collect myself and I can sit here and review this interview, which by the way, that was Chris McDonough. I know Chris McDonough's voice. I can tell you one thing I can tell you that was Chris McDonough's voice. So he either had permission from law enforcement or permission. He had to have permission. He was inside the house. He had to have some type of permission. So with that being said, now that we heard that much, I expect when this case is prosecuted, I expect some really disturbing things to come out of it. Okay. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to stomach that because, again, I know who Brandy is. I saw the pain in her face. We'll go over her interview again so you guys can be introduced to Brandy. We're still keeping her in our thoughts and prayers because she's got some liver things going on right now that's really got her, you know, fighting for her own life right now. So anyways, getting on to Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. I saw this video this morning. I'm just going to show it. And then, thank you, Lady Dragon. Lady Dragon, if I could speak this morning. Lady Dragon just gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. If you received your Bullhorn Betty membership, please don't forget to tell Lady Dragon, thank you, thank you, thank you. And welcome to this crazy family. I'm going to have a button like Justin has, you know, where I push something because I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we should have some sirens. Woo, woo, heading to the insane asylum. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. The reason why I joke about that now is because of Duty Ron and his shenanigans and buffoonery. You know, so ever since he had something to say, I decided just to coin us the insane asylum, right? Since insanity it means i.e. sane, and insane means insanity this day. It's like, you know, crisscross. That's the way I feel in life, crisscross. I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. All right, so here's Evil Exist. Evil Exist just dropped this this morning. So let's listen to it. There's a couple of, you know, it perks your curiosity.
Of the puzzle in the Sebastian Rogers case. Sadly, he is still missing, and there are no suspects named, or even solid leads in the case. I don't think there's not solid leads in the case. I just honestly think that we don't realize how much solid lead or solid information law enforcement most likely possesses, especially with the stuff that's being leaked here recently. Treating Sebastian's case as a runaway from the start was the biggest mistake. My gut tells me Sebastian never left on his own, leaving his shoes and phone behind. I don't believe it. I think something happened to Sebastian, and there are people who know exactly what that is. Anyway, today I've come across some really disturbing Ring camera footage that someone posted on Facebook.
All right, so this is the footage that is on Facebook.
The person that posted this says that it has been sent in to TBI, and the sheriff within the first few days of Sebastian being missing. The original poster wants to know whether this is Sebastian or not, and hoping that someone can properly clear that up.
Now, this is going to be a little disturbing because I did not watch this video ever before. And I listened very, very intently to the audio. Now, you got to understand, I don't know what Sebastian's voice sounds like. Okay, we've only got a few very, very minor clips of actually hearing his voice, and I don't even think we can get a speech pattern based on the isolated video that we have of his voice. So the only people that will know if this voice is Sebastian is his family.
And if it is not Sebastian, then hopefully someone knows who this child is so they can get him help. The incident took place in Hogan's Branch, Hendersonville, Tennessee. We know Sebastian is missing out of Hendersonville, Tennessee too.
Now, if you guys want to know where Hogan's Branch Road is in comparison to the property address, let me take this off so people don't have a coronary. Oh, I have to use that. God, burn it. Let me get back. Hopefully it'll do it for me. There it is. So if you guys would like to see, oh, I can do that right there. There we go. It's about a 9-minute drive from Sebastian's home, a 9-minute drive. Would they know somebody 9 minutes away from them? If so, who would they know, or where would they have been? I'm unsure, right? So again, I just wanted to show you where the location is. Hopefully I didn't lose my, okay, good. I'm good on volume.
The person says that on November 18th, noises were heard.
What? Why is November 18th, 2023 ringing such a big bell? When this was done, for whatever reason, I feel like March 18th, 2023 has relevance. Like, I feel like I heard that story in a story previously. And I keep wondering, and I can't figure, for the life of me, I don't know. But I remember because his birthday was on 12/7, was one of the reported incidences that are circulating, was that on November 18th? November 18th is sticking out for me in this case for something, for a reason. If anybody knows why this date of November 18th is sticking out in my brain, please email me at bullhornbetty@gmail.com, because I feel like we've discussed this date in some type of conversation about Sebastian prior to his disappearance, or were we in Tennessee on November 18th? And maybe that's the reason why it's ringing a bell. What were we in Tennessee for? Layla Santinello? Well, then if it's my personal stuff, then I need to know that too. But this date, this November 18th, 2023, is really sticking out to me, and I don't know why. It might be something that I did. Sonia, we were there on the 8th. I'm not sure. Oh, hey, PS. It's nice to see you, Love Bug, Brown Eyed Girl, Mama Bear, Gina. Good morning, Caroline. Good morning. Were you in court then? Maybe in 2024. Maybe I'm mixing the years up. It's possible. I'm just telling you that the 1118 is ringing a very, very loud bell in my head. And when I was reading this, I couldn't figure out, I couldn't shake why November 18th. It was related to this case. So whatever it was related to this case. I remember that. But anyways, go back and you guys might end up finding it, but I don't know. That date rings just, is in my head for some reason. So I just thought I'd point that out. I don't know why.
The words "help me" was heard too. When this woman jumped up to check, they saw a man closing a child in a car. The man seemed angry, and they sped off, heading towards the highway. In the video I am about to play for you, a child can be heard crying and yelling, "I can't take it anymore." Before we get to that, the poster also shared this picture of the boy running down the street.
Now, here's a very grainy photo. I don't know why. It seems like we have better footage this day and age, and it always bothers me when people have cameras that look like they're Ring doorbell cameras, and we know the quality of Ring doorbell cameras. Why we get a grainy picture, it drives me nuts, because in 2024 and in 2025, there's no excuse for grainy photos. There's just none. This should be captured in 1080p at minimum. So I have a question, why it's so. And also, if you look right here, it almost looks like this child has a mullet. We know that he has shoes that are black and white, but the ones that we saw were new shoes. Did he have a pair of white shoes? Is this outfit familiar to people that knew Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers? Would he dress like this in leggings and shorts and a shirt? These are questions, because we always heard he always has graphics on his shirt. And this shirt appears not to have any graphics on it at all. So these are just some key details that I've noticed, in addition to him not having his glasses on. So do I know whether this is Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers or not? Of course not. I wasn't there. I can only give my best assessment. But from where I'm looking at this, to me, it doesn't appear to be Sebastian. But as Evil Existed stated, even if it's not Sebastian, this child appears to need some help. So let's finish this up so you guys can hear the actual audio of it, but it is a little concerning, to say the least.
The poster said her heart sank as she felt the boy's features resembled that of Sebastian, as well as the area he went missing in. Some comments on this post mentioned that it does look like Sebastian without his glasses on. Listen to the audio. It's hard to hear, so this is your trigger warning.
If you guys can't hear it, go back and turn. I'm going to go back just a little bit longer. And if you guys want to turn up your volume, you can. I've got this at max volume. I don't have my my audio box thing hooked up to pitch it up any higher than this. So this is what you guys got. So I'm going to play it again. You guys can hear it. And there are times when he says, "I can't take it anymore." So all right. So is that Sebastian? I don't know if it is. I would have to say probably not. But again, this is concerning. It's around times when we know that there is allegations of abuse for Sebastian. I think that's about as big as I'm going to be able to get it on here. And that location was only 9 minutes away from 9 minutes away from where Sebastian lives. So, it's still quite a bit. That's 9 minutes is quite a distance. And the first thing that comes to my mind is that, they are not really known to, they don't have a lot of friends. And I don't know any family member that lives over in that particular area. So I just don't, I don't know. All right. So the next one's going to be credited to missing in plain sight. They were able to capture, thank God, because the original interviewer of the Nina Gomez, I either deleted it or privatized it or put it in members only, one of the two, and or one of the three. And so we don't really have too many places we can pull that interview from. It was almost as if it was cleansed off of the internet. So I was able to find a copy on Missing in Plain Sight. Thank you, Missing in Plain Sight, for pulling that. And I was also able to pull it off of a creator's channel called Crystal Clear something or other. And they have it broke up into 6 different parts. So we had 2 places we could pull it from, but I'm confident that the Missing in Plain Sight has the full unedited copy that they have in their possession, custody, and control. So that's what we're going to pull from, Missing in Plain Sight. And then we have, Brandy Gray, which was piggybacking off of Justin for All. And I've got some stuff from last night from Justin for All's live that I wanted to share with you guys as well. So without further ado, let's get into the Nina Gomez stuff. Let's have a discussion. Remember, if you guys are in chat, we have a 0 tolerance policy for BS.
Bullshit detected. Take precautions.
So if you guys want to communicate, whether you oppose or whatever your position is on this case, treat each other with respect in our chat. Debate the issues, not the people. Do not be insulting to the audience, to the chat. And do not be insulting to me. This is my channel. It's a privilege to be here. It's a privilege to be in my chat. It is not a right. So we have a 0 tolerance policy for BS. Okay. If everybody can follow those rules, everybody should have a good time while they're discussing Nina Gomez. I'm going to be on one side of the screen. I'm not going to be able to see you guys chatting. I'm going to, when I come back over here or get to a stalking point, I will pause and go up and try to read your chat, just to see if there's any questions or any statements that I think are relevant, that you guys would be interested in. But you guys are going to know about the comments before me. Okay. Because I'm going to be on a different screen. All right, guys. So without further ado, let's see what we got going on here. And don't forget, we have a poll right now. And I got to tell you, it really ticked me off because the people, this is what I can't stand about the liars and the hate channels. Their people come over here and come in and take the poll first thing in the morning to manipulate the actual results. They come in here to manipulate the actual results. You know why? Because they are trying to fabricate this woman not being truthful. Now, it's mostly true or mostly false. You guys have your opinion about it. I don't expect everybody to have, but to come in here and not even see it and to be polling on it, that's just, it's just manipulative. It's manipulative. Anyways, I digress. I digress. All right, I'm going to put her completely up on here because I'm going to listen while I work.
Every weekend. And he's like, how am I going to see my kids? And I said, well, we'll figure it out. So we packed up after we said I do. I don't remember the exact date when I got married to Christopher. And maybe that's a good thing. we moved into the naval housing out there. And my son, Noah, was 3 at the time. And my oldest was about 7 years old. And she was telling me 7. So I thought everything was great in the beginning. I mean, everything's always perfect, like I said. And then I started seeing bits and pieces of how Christopher really was. I was a stay-at-home wife. Due to my son being so young, I wanted to, enjoy those years with him. Then my daughter went to school right down the street. So I was home every single day. And it just started seeing like Christopher change like night and day. It was awkward. I felt really uncomfortable. After a while, we would argue about just the smallest things. And a lot of it also had to do with how he disciplined my children. I'm very protective over my kids. And I didn't want somebody else to discipline my children. I didn't want him talking ugly to them.
I have to think that a lot of people don't really care for a step parent to physically discipline their children. Now, there's a caveat to that. There's a caveat to that, in my opinion. If that person is the primary parent. For example, there's a lot of women that have an absent father in the child's life, okay? And in that absent father scenario, yeah, you need, or mother, right? It could be both ways. If you have a boy or a girl, they would need to be, the mom or the dad, because the mom or the dad's not there. Now, there's different, I have my opinions, and it's not really saturated in a whole bunch of, studies or anything like that. I just think that it would be more common for a parent, a step parent, to play that authoritarian role if the child's biological father was not in that child's life. I think there's different scenarios. I don't think it's a cookie cutter answer. I think it's a situational, but from my understanding, with the fathers that I've spoken to, they don't want another man disciplining their children. Okay. Just food for thought. I don't know how you ladies feel. I mean, you guys would be on the other side of that. When my stepdaughter was here, she was old enough that really all you could do was, ground her or, tell her you're not watching the kids. She's going to have to take the kids with her. She was pretty much grown, and she was a mom. So the control and taking away and disciplining, a child was a lot different for me as a role of a step parent than it would have been, for somebody that's raising children, if that makes sense.
Hurting their feelings. And I remember one point in time where Christopher spanked my son really hard, and I got very upset with him, and I said, you can't do that to my son. I said, he's 3, he's a baby still. Like, you can't just do whatever you want. I mean, and he got upset, and he's like, well, he needs to learn. He needs to man up. He's a man. I said, he's 3. He's 3. And as time went on,
I saw somebody saying something about the Gerber policy or whatever. I listen, I don't care if that man had $1 million policy on Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. It doesn't matter whether a lot of people have life insurance policies on children and family members, period. Okay. It's life insurance. It's specific for that. It's whether or not they had anything to do with the crime. I just want to make sure. I know it's not my audience. It's the ones in the back, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What if he had $1 million? So what? It only matters is if he had something to do with the disappearance to collect on those funds. Sebastian's missing. Nobody's collecting any funds on any life insurance. And I can promise you, this is not, if there is anything, I know I heard there was one through, I think, Work or Gerber or something like that. But it's very small. I think it's only like $10,000. Nobody's hurting somebody over $10,000. Okay, that literally is not even hardly enough to bury somebody. It takes almost $20,000 to $25,000 this day and age to put somebody in the ground. So let's be real. And not only that, but again, Sebastian has not been identified as deceased. I don't know where people are clouded with that. Until anybody says he's deceased, nobody's collecting on anything. And trust me, out of all the people, Seth is not the one that wants to collect that ever. He would pay $1 million. He would give his life for his son. I can't say much about the mom and stepdad, but I know the father would absolutely give his life for his son right now.
I could see him getting more aggressive and more aggressive. And I stood up for my kids all the time. I didn't like how he talked to them, how he wanted them to stand in the corner all the time. And I didn't like that. So I stayed a little bit longer. I ended up eventually getting pregnant with Faith. And it was probably, I want to say, maybe early September that I found out that I was pregnant with Faith. And I remember telling him that I was pregnant, and he wasn't happy about it. So I called my parents back home here in Albuquerque, and I told them the situation. And I said, well, Christopher wants me to get an abortion with Faith. And my parents said, no, you're not. And I said, I'm not. So I know he was very upset about me keeping Faith at that point in time. So I came home. My grandma had gotten very sick, and I decided to come home. And after that, I just kind of stayed here in New Mexico, because at that time we weren't getting along, and we were just like newlyweds, and that should have never happened. But I saw things, like I said, that were just it wasn't right about him. So I moved home, and I did my whole pregnancy by myself. And so I finally, my friends back there in California, my neighbors right across the street, were actually calling me. I had one good friend, which is still a really good friend of mine to this day. She called me and said, Nina, Christopher's getting rid of your furniture and getting rid of your stuff. And I was like, what? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah.
Where else did we hear Chris getting rid of people's stuff? You guys remember that I'm a strict parent? If things aren't clean the way I think they should be cleaned, everything goes into the garbage and out to the garbage can. Behaviors. Different types of behaviors. But who remembers that? Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Oh, you didn't miss much already, Diana. We're just now getting started. You only missed about a few minutes of Nina talking.
like he's giving away like your little, you know, your home decor stuff. Like he's giving away beds. And I was like, no way. So, and this was about Easter time. So I had went out there. I made a special trip. I asked my mom to go with me, and Isabella and Noah, they went with me. And I was still pregnant with Faith at the time. So we made it. I didn't tell him that we were going out there. So I kind of, you know, wanted to see myself, because the neighbor also informed me that there was people at the house that shouldn't have been there. So I guess I kind of wanted to sneak up on him and see what he was doing, right? And we pulled up into the driveway, into the driveway, and he was coming out the front door with a bed that he was giving to the neighbor, which was my son's bed. And the look on his face was like a deer in headlights. And he dropped the bed right there in the front yard, went back in the front door, slammed the door and locked it on my kids. And my mom told me at that point, she said,
Seems like a great step-parent so far. Young children have nothing to do with it. And he shuts the front door in their face. Oh, we just went over that, Shannon. We just went over that actually before we got into this.
I can't believe he's doing this. Like, what is he doing? So I go in and I unlock the door and I said, what are you doing? I said, are you giving away my stuff? And he had nothing to say. So he brought the bed back in, because I knew that's what he was doing. And, you know, the neighbor across the street, like I said, told me. So we stayed there. It was super uncomfortable. My mom felt the tension between the both of us. My children felt it as well. And at the time, Faith started moving. Like I could start, you know, I felt her moving around in my stomach. And I told Christopher, I said, look, I said, put your hand on my stomach. I said, can you feel her move? He said, no. You know, when you're pregnant, you always think that your spouse is going to be super supportive and be super excited that you're pregnant and bringing a life.
Can you imagine getting married to your husband and getting pregnant, thinking you guys are a family and stuff like that, and you're expecting him to be happy as you are, and he tells you, turns around and demands that you give your child up by whatever means necessary? How mentally effed up that is. That's rough.
Life into this world for him, right? But I didn't get that. I didn't get that support that I needed. So we had a conversation my mom brought up between Christopher, myself, and her. And she had said, you know, do you not want Faith? Like, do you not want this baby? And Christopher stated to my mom he wasn't happy. And he said, what if one of them dies? What if Faith dies or Nina dies on the table, or when she's having this baby?
That's pretty effed up. Seems like from back that she's lucky to have gotten away from him.
Maybe
she might be a Sebastian story. Might have been a Nina story instead of a Sebastian story. Who knows?
Mom said, don't talk like that. Like, why are you talking like that? They're still here. So we left again after a couple days. We came home to Albuquerque, and still I tried working it out where we were at, but it just wasn't working. I wanted out. And I had faith on my own. Christopher called the hospital. I told him on.
Can you imagine being married and having to have a baby by yourself? I mean, if he was overseas and fighting and stuff like that and couldn't be there, that would be one thing. But he could have been there and chose not to.
June. It was June 1st that I got admitted into the hospital. And Faith arrived like at June 2nd, like about 3 or 4 in the morning. And he kept calling the hospital and saying that my wife is in labor, she's there. But Christopher was just so rude and hateful and just, I mean, he wasn't even there. So then he arrived a couple days later after Faith. I had Faith, and he was, the doctors and the nurses there were on high alert due to the fact that they heard Christopher over the phone on how he was being disrespectful to the nurses that were on call that night, as you know, I was waiting to have her. And I asked that they not give him any more information. So he arrived. I had Faith. He arrived a couple days later, like I said. And you could just tell the look on his face, like he wasn't happy at all. Like, didn't say, hey, you did a good job. Didn't say, I'm so happy that you brought my daughter into this world, like nothing. And I remember my sister was holding Faith, and she had to ask Chris, do you want to hold her? He said, I guess. So she handed her over to Chris. And he stayed there with me for a couple more days because I had a C-section. And on one of the occasions, I can't recall what was happening, but he was raising his voice. And he was talking to me very disrespectful in front of one of the nurses. And she had told him, look, she just brought life into this world. She just got major surgery and you're yelling at her. And I have a problem with that. She said, if you continue to do this, I'm going to have to tell social services to come down here. And I'm also going to have to ask you to leave the hospital and not return. So at that point in time, he kind of calmed down after he heard that. But unfortunately, that didn't last very long. He continued to do that. So
she just had a baby. She just had a C-section. She just got stitched up. She's in the hospital, has a brand new baby. And this man is standing over her, screaming at her to the point that the nurses, and we're going to find out, had to kick him out of the hospital. This is his first introduction to his own daughter. How appalling.
Social services at the hospital was told to come down And he was pretty much, she said, you can't do that here. And she was really concerned for my well-being at the time, and also Faith's, because, here is Christopher, dictating and telling me what I can and can't do, and telling the nurses to do their job correctly and all these other things, and raising his voice at me. And, so they had to step in.
Oh, wow. Why isn't this being blown from the rooftops on the hate channels, right? Seth going into a therapy session with a therapist that's not qualified in children, moreover, not qualified in SA'd children, and the help that could be given to his son. So he loses his cool for the benefit of his son. And you got this maniac in a hospital room being thrown out because of how he's treating his wife that literally just had a baby. Like, these are apples and oranges, but you see those hate channels and how they make a mountain out of a molehill for things that have not been found by a court. This one's in the progress of court right now, and all of these developments will be brought up in that court proceeding. And I guarantee she will have full custody of her child, as opposed to Chris. It will not be joint custody like Katie and Seth. I almost guarantee it.
And so she said, this is it. Like, you're going to have to leave the premises. And, and he got a little upset, and he's like, no, I'm going to change. I'm going to be good. So, they said, okay, but we're watching you.
Thank you, Melanie.
We're watching you. So after that, we had left. They discharged all of us from the hospital, and he didn't want to stay at my parents' house because my mom and dad live in a trailer, and he doesn't like that. It's a house, right? Still.
Oh, so you guys see how bougie he is, but he calls her a gold digger? Interesting.
So he rented a room at Kirtland Air Force Base, and they have like lodging there, which is like a house, old base housing, and we ended up getting one of those. And we stayed there for a while. I remember one night in particular where we all had went out and got something to eat to bring it back to the room. I had went into the restroom. I believe that's where I was at. And Faith was in her car seat. And my oldest daughter was in the living room with my son and Christopher. Well, anyways, I guess I wasn't moving fast enough for Christopher. But the baby started crying. Faith started crying. And, she's crying, and I'm trying to get to her as fast as I can. And when she was in the car seat, my oldest daughter at the time witnessed this with my 3-year-old son. When she was in the car seat, he ended up hitting the car seat against the wall. And he's getting upset because she's crying. And then when she was in her car seat, there was a coffee table right there, and he ended up tossing her on the coffee table with the car seat because he was so irate that she was crying. And I said, hey, what's your problem? I said, what are you doing? Like, she's a baby. She's going to cry.
She's a baby. She's going to cry. She's a baby. She's going to cry. And when you are watching those channels, even if you hate them, you are supporting them. If you care for Sebastian, Faith, and Nita, I encourage, thank you. Exactly. One person at a time. Take one person away at a time, because I'm telling you, people have literally came up to me and told me what they were told to do, their marching orders. And they sat there and tell me that they were losing sleep, having to wake up, record this, upload this, da-da-da-da. They said that they were literally losing sleep. They couldn't sleep. Their body is full of toxins from all the anger and animosity that's created. That's no good for anybody's heart. That's no good for your mind, body, or soul. Literally, stress kills. Stress kills. And people don't realize those toxic hate channels are nothing but stress. Absolutely nothing but stress. All right. So she's telling him, she's having to tell Chris, it's a baby. She's going to cry. He's frustrated because he's got a crying baby. I want you guys to understand who this man is, his temperament. A man that's frustrated with a baby crying, how well do you think he's going to do with a disabled son that's reaching puberty? Stepson, rather. A disabled stepson that's reaching puberty. If this is the way he is with a little precious baby.
I wish I would have just never met him.
Me too, lady. And I didn't have a baby with him. I didn't even know him.
I'm sorry. I should have left a long time ago. Because no children ever deserve this. My kids didn't.
This is hard because you know what? There's a lot of women. You know why this is hard for us? And why we know this is true? Because there's a lot of women in my chat room that have been abused, that have been to this point right here, that have shed these very tears. That's why it hits a chord with all of us.
So he left again to San Diego. A couple of days went by. Then all of a sudden he's like, well, you know, why don't you move to Hendersonville? And I was like,
the setup. A lot of people believe, we checked it, you know, the people that thought, you know, Sebastian's disappearance was premeditated. And people believe that there is this setup. Well, you know, a lot of the past behavior she's describing, we've heard in the Sebastian Rogers case. Very conniving, manipulating, and convincing. Cunning. Most likely has narcissistic tendencies. Probably the mom too. But we definitely know by the behavior of the stepdad some of the issues that plague him. And she's talking about the setup. If history repeats itself,
why though? You know, in my head, and I knew it was a bad idea. I just knew it. I knew it because our marriage was on the rocks.
I wonder if KK's saying the same thing. Her marriage was on the rocks. But she's not the woman. Nina is. That must hurt her to her soul.
Moved to Hendersonville. And I was like, why though? You know, in my head, and I knew it was a bad idea. I just knew it. I knew it because our marriage was on the rocks. I wasn't happy. He wasn't a good father figure to my children. I don't know why I said yes.
That's why it's so believable to a lot of people. Because again, there are a lot of people in my chat right now that have asked themselves the same question in their own personal circumstance.
Well, anyways, so let me back up. So before he left back to San Diego, Faith ended up going back into the NICU. She ended up getting jaundice, and she went back to the NICU. So she was in the NICU, I want to say, for a week to a week and a half. And that was when Kathy, Chris's mother, came out, flew down with her brother.
Oh, so Kathy and Uncle Danny. Kathy and old Uncle Danny. Now, you guys see why it's so important to go back to interviews that we previously had before we knew more information than we do? So Kathy and Uncle Danny are involved in this story too. Pretty interesting. Sometimes the history has a funny way of repeating itself. Could this be the playbook? I mean, we know the playbook that Chris used on Nina was played on me. So can we start taking her statements and figuring out what could have happened? Now, the other question would be, it's always CP's family that helps. Yet most people in this particular case has been focusing on distant relatives of KP. What if we should be looking at distant relatives on the other side of the fence, the more dirty side of the fence, the ones that have done this before? Just a mild observation.
Duran guy, or they call him Big D. They came down.
Big D.
And she was in the NICU. And that was when I felt like a plan was made, because like I said, our marriages it was on the rocks. And one of my neighbors had told me in San Diego, they had warned me. They had said, Nina, be careful, because Christopher is coming up with a plan with his mother. And they're planning on taking the baby away from you.
So obviously it wasn't secret. They were talking behind her back, and somebody got wind of it and spoke up and said something to her.
And I was like, what? Like, thinking to myself, it can't be true from somebody that's supposed to love you, right? Like somebody that you're supposed to share your life with. Like, why would he want to take the baby away from me? And she warned me. But I was like, no, why would they do that? So then after Faith got out of the NICU, we were no longer staying in base housing. We were staying at one of the embassy suites down here. Then his mom came up with an idea. She goes, well, since you guys, we'll be moving to Hendersonville. And I was like, I felt like, okay, well, maybe. And he's like, well, you'll get help. You're going to get help from my family. And, but I was already getting help here from my parents, with my other two children that they helped me raise. So that I went along with it. Like I said earlier, even though I knew it was wrong to go, I still went hoping that my marriage would work out. So she ended up taking Faith, although I was against it. Kathy Bowers-Hawks and her brother Duran ended up taking Faith.
Duran.
And my mom and dad were like, my mom.
I think Mama Bear just explained that. It's Bryant Durant Guy, Big D Durant. And his son's name is Danny. And the son is Chris's cousin. Ooh. Didn't we have a text message from a cousin that was paid $500 to keep quiet on social media? I'm just thinking, but I could have sworn somebody. I think it's on the Lauren from Facebook thing. Lauren from Facebook thing. Hold on a second. X.com. Did it say it was? Hold on here. Oh, here, we can share this. This, if you guys want to know what he looks like, here you go. There's what he looks like. And I'm pretty sure she had a message. Let me just reread this one. I know where it's at. I just got to wait for it to catch up. Sorry. That's so funny. There's the original optimism photo, and you can clearly see a bruise on this boy's neck. That the stepfather says it looks like a hickey. All right, where is it? I know it was a little while. Okay, we're getting closer. We're getting closer. Here it is. It says, I didn't want to do this, but I have to. Now, this is by an anonymous poster. We know about these anonymous people. It could literally be anybody. But when we were just talking about this, it made me, it perked my curiosity. I remember just reading. Now, I haven't read it to the bottom, but I could have sworn. Let's just read it here. I might have thought of it wrong. Let's see here. I am Chris Proudfoot's cousin. I didn't want to do this, but I have to. I have been having nightmares and I can't handle it anymore. I'm Chris Proudfoot's cousin. We grew up attached at the hip. I love him, but he holds so much information. I have just been feeling so sick from this. Last month, Chris confided in me and had informed me that Katie unalived Sebastian. At that point, I wanted to hurt her. He begged and pleaded. Even paid me $500 to stay quiet. I took the money and gave it to a homeless man. I am so tired, exhausted, and they need to be locked up. Oh, and he also told me that they stripped him naked and threw his clothes in the trash that night. Trash, guys. Now this doesn't look like some anonymous. I'm posting this here so someone else calls the cops because I'm really feeling too many emotions. We hear about Big D, Uncle Durant. We hear about him all of the time. Yes, guys. But we don't hear about his cousin Danny, and we know how tight they are because they're always over at his house during the summer swimming in the pool with Sebastian or over at Durant's. Big D. Big D is Kathy's brother. He's Chris's uncle. His son, Danny Guy, is Chris's cousin. And they are tight. Joined at the hip, so to speak. Growing up and otherwise. If they weren't close, then Kathy wouldn't have such a close relationship with her brother that seems to always follow her and help her with whatever she's concocting. That text message seems to have more relevance. Now we can look back on it and say, wait a minute. We heard they searched the landfill. Did they find the clothes they were looking at in the landfill? Did Sebastian leave that house in only his diaper? Because we know they forced him to wear it. Is that the reason why he had no shoes on? Because they were stupid enough to strip him? That just popped out, guys. I was not expecting this. Something popped in my head And I remember reading this and I remember going right past it because like many times before, there's nothing to corroborate this. It's from an anonymous poster. But now that we're looking at this in a different light, holy smokes. Holy smokes. Okay. That wasn't what I was expecting. Whew. Okay. I'm starting to believe that post. Fuck.
Mom started crying. She goes, "Why are you letting them take the baby?" And I said, because Christopher said that it's going to be too hard for her to travel.
I don't know. My brain just went into left field. Like I can't even concentrate on Nina right now. I seriously can't even concentrate on what Nina's saying right now because now this is starting to really bother me. Because a lot of these anonymous posts I look past, you know, and not only that, but it wasn't until like Mama Bear, we knew there was a Big D and we knew there was a cousin named Danny. And I think I just automatically assumed a Big D was Uncle Danny and Danny was the cousin, you know, like taking father and name son. I think we've been going for an hour and a half, guys. I think what we'll do is we'll take a break here. We'll come back. It's 11:22 now. Let's come back around 3:30. And we'll try to push through some more of Nina Gomez's interview and discuss it. But I need a break for a second. Okay, guys. I will be back with you guys as soon as possible, but let's just plan on 3:30. Actually, as a matter of fact, don't leave. Don't go anywhere just yet. Don't go anywhere just yet. Give me just a second. Okay. Give me just a second. I've got to do something here. All right. Let me go ahead and put this. I'm going to go ahead and schedule part 2 right now. Give me just a second. And then I'm going to ask you guys to go over there. I want you guys to all come back for part 2. I just need a little moment, and and I know that if we do another live right after this, nobody will get notified for it. So we'll give ourselves about a 3-hour break, and then we'll come back. Part 2. And what is the name of this one? Okay, hold on a second. $3:30. Part 2. All right, I'm getting it set up right now, guys. Creating the stream. If you guys could please go over to when you guys click out of here, guys. Please go over to my channel and get notified for our 3:30 live this afternoon. Like I said, I just need a few moments, but it's not going to be good for me to end this live and immediately start a new live. I know how the algorithm works on YouTube. So we'll push this out until 3:30. And then we'll come back at 3:30. So go ahead and head over to my channel, get notified. All you do is go over to my channel, go to the live the live tab at the top, and you'll see the new one set up, and just hit the get notified so you guys don't miss 3:30. We're going to pick this up at 3:30. Thank you all for being here. God bless each and every one of you. And we'll be back soon. Thanks. From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work, we will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you. God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims.